Meow. All right. I think we're live. Hello, nerds. How's it going? Today we will be discussing a couple of tricks that would help. I know we have the assignment for the plant elemental. And there's going to be some vines overlapping, creating all sorts of interesting shapes. And there's one cool method that involves combining a few of the things we've already learned in class to create this nice kind of hollow look with curves. Okay, so let's take a look at this real quick. So just start with whatever, right? The idea in general, right, is that whenever we use curve BC, and then we go over here to curve tubes, right? So we can create a curve, right? And then we can control it. Okay, so far so good. You know, whatever, we want to check it out from different angles to make sure it's not too, you know, whatever. Okay. And those of you who remember, you can hold left click, hit control, and then that'll allow you to rotate it from that point onward, right? In case you need to do some alterations. For example, you see how this gets rotated over here. So I'm gonna click, and I'm gonna rotate to kind of compensate for that curve in case I didn't want that, right? Something else that we can do is gonna be over here in stroke, curve. We have a couple of things here that we can address in a second. We have our curve modifiers, right, which we can change from intensity to size. And then on curve fall off, we can have it start at whatever thickness compared to the brush size we want and end at whatever thickness brush size we want. And you know, we can also have it taper in and out. So I definitely recommend kind of messing around with that, playing with that. And of course, whatever change you make, you come back here, click, and they'll apply that change, right? So that's one approach, right? That's one approach to creating these curves. Right now, as you can see, symmetry is on, so everything I've done here also applies over there, right? And when we're done, we're gonna hit the mesh, and then that curve is going to disappear, and now it's just a part of the mesh. And you also notice that it is unmasked by default. Every new curve that you make, right, automatically everything else will be masked. Oops. And this will not be. Also notice that you can, whenever you have it kind of close to one edge, you see that little red line that appears, so you can continue clicking this to extend it. Okay. You can continue clicking this to extend it. Like so. Wee. I'll have to figure out why sometimes it creates like a copy. It's annoying. Okay. Yeah, by default, you should just be able to do that. And then you're just able to extend, that's all. That's cool. Can make some cool symbols like that. So that's one approach for creating like vines, right? Now sometimes we have we would have justification to want to create like very specific kind of hollowed out, almost layered look. And we can see we kind of addressed that a little bit with my fire tutorial, but we're going to do this with my with our vines over here, right? So let me real quick hop onto YouTube just to make sure we have. Let me drop that link for you guys. And also want to make sure I'm actually broadcasting, which I am. Drop that in the chat for you. I know Lisa is working on something similar to that, and a lot of you had like creatures that were a lot more heavier on the vines. So let's just grab this right here in organic modeling, so you all have this. Hopefully it will help over the weekend. Is this the right link? Yep. Okay. The link. Broadcasting now. Now, come on. Okay. So that's one way. Okay. Oh, and don't let me forget. Whenever you're in the gizmo mode, right? Since let me hit Shift F. Since everything that you created has its own poly group by default, and assuming you haven't messed it up by hitting Control W, then you can Control click, and that would automatically unmask that poly group and mask everything else, right? And that allows you to have a little bit more freedom in terms of manipulating the individual ones, right? Pretty useful, pretty useful. And remember, after the curve is gone, you can only modify it with the move brush, BMV, or whatever, right? Sculpting on it, because you do want to have details, but you want to get it as close to where it needs to be before, because you see how it doesn't maintain that form anymore, because it's not really a curve. So you want to get it as close to the final form as it needs to be before you do all of this kind of modifications. Okay. Now, so again, that's one approach. Another approach is using something like the curve snap brush, right? Curve tube snap. Now, there's a couple of benefits to curve tube snap. BC curve tube snap right here. Okay, so by default, it's pretty much gonna do what you expect, right? It's just gonna snap to whatever surface you're dragging it on. Okay, it's gonna try. Right, and then if it doesn't have anything to snap on, it's gonna work normally, but generally speaking, it's not. See, I'm dragging it into the surface, it's not gonna intersect. It's just gonna understand there's a surface there, and it's gonna try to conform to it to the best of its ability. Now, all the stroke, all the other ones that we talked about apply here as well, right? So sometimes it'll be getting a little funky. Okay, so that's cool, that's whatever, no worries, it's all good. Okay, now with this one, you'll notice a couple of things. First of all, I think the default mesh, it looks like it has less resolution, which if you do that, you might need to apply subdivision to actually make it work. And eventually, you will be dynameshing this so that the scope's actually gonna make sense, right? And also remember that when it is, I'm sorry, not dynamesh, subdivided, when it is subdivided, right? You're not gonna be able to do anything as long as you have subdivisions. So make sure that you work on your low poly first and get all the forms in and all the angles in. Make sure everything's looking really good. And that will ensure that your forms are where they need to be and you're able to modify them. I'm going to delete higher, come back to this. It's on visibility for a second. So just like we have with the poly groups, right? Just like we can mask and unmask them, likewise, we can control their visibility by hitting Control Shift. Okay, Control Shift, that's a select. So that allows us, you notice that this is very similar to masking, but instead of just showing one lighter, one darker mask, this is just straight up makes it, let me turn off symmetry for real quick with X. That straight up makes some parts visible and some parts not visible. It doesn't delete anything, it's still there, right? It's still there. And in fact, we can actually increase our selection by Control Shift, right? This is right here, select. Control Shift. If we hit X for expand, right, that's gonna select more. If we hit S for shrink, Control Shift S, that's gonna shrink. So Control Shift X, Control Shift S. And of course, we can also hit Control Shift A for all, and that's gonna select all the continuous topology. And of course, it's not gonna hide stuff that's hidden. To do that, it's just like masking, just with, instead of just Control, it's Control Shift. We can tap and they'll unhide everything, okay? The cool thing about this is that whatever we want to get rid of, let's say this one, and then I'm going to invert, just like mask, Control Control, right? Say I wanted to get rid of all of those hidden ones. Actually delete them, right? So it's gonna be in over here in geometry, modify topology, and del hidden. Okay, I hit del hidden. Okay, now they're gone for real. They're gone. Okay, anything, I can't bring them back. They're gone. I mean, you can with Control Z because it's still the same subtool. Brian, bro, you are handsome. Aw, can I interest you in purchasing my NFT? If it's an NFT of your art, then maybe. Maybe. Welcome, Brian. All right. Let's see. Views. Tell me who's actually here. Used to. Weird. Okay. So we are going to use the curve snap for very, very interesting purpose. So when we combine the curve snap with visibility, we have a couple of interesting options, and I'm going to show it right now. So let's say I want, because you can control your forms and the curves by just dragging them and manipulating it and all that stuff, or you can just create the shape, right, of the negative space, the shape that you want it to conform to. Okay, let's say we're doing this. Okay. And it said this is the kind of surface, right? We have an overall block out of the form. So BC, curve tube snap, okay? So now, I'm gonna do this, okay? Now you see how it's conforming to that surface that I created? I'm gonna tap on here, I'm gonna unmask, okay? And then I'll Control Shift, select this to hide that other one, and I'm making a new one, doing this, okay? Now I have two of them, okay? And because the other one was hidden, it's not gonna worry about intersecting with it. Sometimes you do want it to kind of recognize it and react to it in some way, right? So sometimes you do want to, let's say, do something like this, okay? And now you see how it's conforming to that surface. This is why I was hiding the other one before, okay? But there are times that you want to do this as well. Okay, just whatever the need is for your mesh. Okay, you make one more. No, you know what? I'm gonna actually Control Shift click. Just make one that's gonna be doing this. Okay, just intersecting. Click. All right. So now we have these kind of lines, right? So far, pretty cool. Now here's where it gets really interesting. What we can do is grab this one, okay, and of course we can straight up delete it, and now we have these guys over here, right? And now they're following that form that we wanted because they're snapped to the surface, because we don't actually need that. We don't actually need this. This is just to allow them to kind of conform to the surface. And furthermore, we can take this, and right here in subtools we can hit split. Okay, split hidden, boop. And now they are a separate subtool. Now what that lets us do is, right now we're still on that original one, okay? You can do this, move it, or we can just delete it, create a different one, right? It's whatever. Now let's say I'm doing this, PNV. So I'm moving this form a little bit, like so. Maybe this one's going to be closer here. This one will be as well. Maybe this one's sunken in a little bit. Maybe this one's like this. Whatever, right? Okay? Just something like this. Now, I'm going to hide these guys. BC, curve tube snap. Okay? I'll make it a little bit chunkier. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like. So now, I'm doing this. Okay? Similar thing to what I've done. Okay, maybe I want it a little bit, not quite. So, right, click. That's good, click, Control Shift. I want another one going maybe this way. Good, click. And then maybe I want one that's gonna overlap and go this way. Just whatever, right? This is the needs of your actual design. Don't do it this way. Actually follow the flow. That's why we have references, right? So this one, do this again. No, let's say I'm gonna grab a couple smaller ones right now, like so, and I'm gonna have them conform right here. I want to have one do maybe this right here. It's acting a little funky sometimes, no worries. We can fix it if we wanted to. I don't really care about it that much right now. Okay, so let's say I have this. Okay, now, because I know some of you had concepts that had a bunch of them overlapping like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab this, do the same thing, split hidden. Now check this out. Hide this guy. And I got this, and now I have multiple layers of them. Okay, now we have multiple layers, just a mass of spaghetti. All right, okay, and these are those two. These are those two. There, okay, these are those two separate ones. And you can have as many of these as you want. Like I can, I'm gonna take this one, make it, maybe I'll bring it to like here. Maybe let's see which, some transparency, kill ghost, not the wolf from Game of Thrones. He's my favorite character. He had the most personality. Let's say I want it kind of close, not exactly conforming, or whatever. You can sculpt. You can literally sculpt what you want it to be. And then say I want it with a little bit of gap. A little bit of off the surface situation. Okay, let's say we're doing this. Okay, there, it's happening. I'm gonna hide the others. I'm just gonna worry about this guy. BC curve tube snap. Okay, now let's say I want to make a bunch of these kind of and remember, guys, very important, if you don't do the sound effects, it's not gonna work. Wee. Let's make this a little bit more interesting. Wee. Wee. Okay. Let's do something. And again, don't end it here. Like, go for what you're going for. I'm just showing you how to do it, right? That doesn't mean that they should all be the same thickness. It's gonna be boring. Observe your reference, okay? So let's say I have this, and same deal. I'm gonna do this, split in, get rid of this one, and show all of these guys, okay? And now we have so out of transparency. And now we have all this layering effect. All of these kind of layered in this one area, and we can go and merge down, right? Make sure I'm on the top one. I want to merge down, right? So merge down here, merge down here. And now all of these are one, and we have all this layered kind of effect, layered look, right? And of course you can, you know, subdivide it and add that kind of, and these are just, I just use like 3 sizes, right? So it still doesn't look quite natural, but if you have some more variation, it's gonna look really good. Okay, that's kind of the point. And right, and we can just with inflate, give it a little bit of kind of variation here and there. Maybe alt here, just a little bit of shenanigans there. Chunk it up maybe here a little bit more chunk, a little bit here, maybe here less, maybe here more, a little bit more chunk. Okay, just whatever it is. Now it's got a little bit more variation. Okay, looks nasty. I love it. This is fun. Okay, and whenever you're ready to do actual sculpting on this, right, all you gotta do, it looks like it already looks like a massive vine, so just goes in, right? And again, you can do this maybe if you have like and some of the vines are off the surface, just have another version of it a little bit thicker and do the vines, so that way you don't have to spend so much time trying to push and pull the curve by hand. John, are you just telling everyone they're handsome? Yeah, I think Brian's trying to do that thing, and I'm okay with that. You want to spread positivity, and also it's objectively true. You're very handsome, John, and so are you, Brian. Okay, so on this one we can hit Dynamesh to even it out. Geometry, let's see what Dynamesh does. 64. The mesh has multiple subdivisions. No. Hit no. Remember, if you forget, we go back. Delete lower first, then hit Dynamesh. Okay, that's not quite the resolution I want. Let's give it 128, double up on it. Let's see, Dynamesh. Closer, but not quite. Let's do 256. I don't want to lose too much information here. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now, I'm gonna turn that off. We can go to deformation if we wanted to, and play with some of the polish to give us some nicer edges. Maybe polish by features a little bit, polish by groups, polish crisp edges, relax. Okay, just chill out. Just a little bit of these here. Okay, and now we have this form that's basically airtight, except the huge gaps everywhere. But let's just be for floor plane, and with this, we can start doing the actual. I think. It even kept some of our. It even kept our groups. Okay, so that's good. So now we can actually do some proper sculpting with BDS. Right, just whatever you need to do. Just whatever it needs. Right. You need to do it this way. That's fine. If you want to use your alphas, that might be a good idea as well. But this is where you're spending the time on this assignment, right? This is doing this and then getting in with all the detail. Use key for standard. Let's do. That's fine. Let's check. Oh, you're gonna be liking this brush a lot lately. Let's do some spray, and of course you need to color it as well. And sometimes it would be beneficial to do coloring at the same time that you're doing. Your actual surfaces, okay? But throwing a little bit of noise with some variety of scale like this might be beneficial, just to get it started. But you do want it very much more deliberate than what I'm doing. You want to spend more time on it, but I'm just showing you a quick way to kind of get some surface noise, okay? And then you can go in and make sure that we have some variation. And on this, we can also Control D to subdivide, just so that we can have some sharper kind of features. And you want to be mindful of the flow direction. And this is very good why we still have the masks, because now I can hit this one, and now I'm only messing with this one, and then I can kind of control the flow direction a little bit better. Okay, on this particular noise that I'm using. Okay, so even though it's connected to this one, I can still work on them individually thanks to the power of the groups, the poly groups, right? And every now and then, you want to throw in, because this is all that fast stuff, that is fast, but it's not going to replace you going in and doing some sculpting by hand, right? You just kind of supplements it. Right, and you still want to use your reference and everything to make sure that it looks the way you want it to look. You know what I mean? Right, and that's going to be based on your particular reference, right? I'm just doing some kind of bark, one type of tree or whatever, right? But yeah, that's how you get those. That's how you get all those things pointed. Go back to alpha off. We'll do freehand. What are we on? So go to the add, increase the intensity with you. Bring it up to like here. All right. Sometimes they have all sorts of random stuff. Don't don't stop too early. You know, really read your forms, understand whatever it is, right? Different forms have different features to them. You want to find those features and really indicate them to the best of your ability. Okay? Whatever, right? Let's say this tree has all these bumps. Really, I'm just pulling from memory right now. Definitely don't do that. I'm just kind of showing you the tools, you know. I'm just showing you all the different things that you can do. Don't we have an actual bark texture out here somewhere? Thought we did. I said, oh, these could be pretty interesting. I wonder. Nope. Anyway, you can play with it. You can even make your own alphas as well. There's some scratches. Sure. Yeah. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, can't wait to see all the plant elementals. I hope they're going to be great. Remember the leaves, remember the colors. I want realistic colors. You impressed me. Do a good job. All right. Keep up the good work. Have a productive, safe, and enjoyable and restful weekend. And we will see you in class next week. Peace.